Sí, sí, hay micrófonos abiertos.
Sí, 2, 3, 4,000.
Ya nos estamos escuchando, güey, estamos arriba.
Hi, Ginger. Can you hear us? We have just put you as presenter. On this? Hi, Ginger. We have just put you as presenter, and can you try testing the mic to see if it works? Hi, Ginger.
Bianca's telling me she didn't hear you say hello and good morning to everyone. Can you confirm you are not hearing me?
Hey, Ginger, I can hear you now.
Okay, good morning and thank you. Good morning, everyone. David, unfortunately, my mic's not working. Are you having any interference or echo with this medium?
Could it work well? It works well. Thanks, Ginger. It worked well. And we're about to start, so we'll just put you in the other session because for us we will be start maybe in 2 minutes time, and I'll start with the presentation first. Thanks for sharing with us.
They set the scene. They set the scene.
David or Bianca, can you confirm if you can hear me? This is Ginger again.
Hi, Ginger, I can't hear you. Hi, Ginger, you're very clear.
Great, thanks. Thanks very much. We're all set then.
Dear all, thanks for joining the session, and we think we will be about to start in like 2 minutes of time, and because I do think it's a very early meeting at 9 a.m., and we are talking about the workshop 205. It's about how to make remote participation sustainable. Thanks for joining with us, and we will start in 2 minutes and wait for more person to join with us. Thank you. Before we start, because for this session is more than an interaction made, I would like to invite people sitting at the back, maybe you can also sit at the front to join the discussion. Please feel free to do so. So, yeah, about to start. Once again, thanks everyone for joining this session. This session is about how we can make remote participation sustainable. And I do think it's important to getting some remote participation in a sense as it's a very early morning meetings and seems everyone is still on the way to join the meeting. And thanks everyone for coming with us. For this session, as mentioned, is more in an interactive way. We will talk about how we can make remote participation more easy for everyone to join. As we know, I'm David from Asia. We support a Youth Network Net Mission Ambassador Program. Discussing with the youth in the region of Asia, we do find it is difficult to support more youth to engage in the discussion of internet governance in a sense to directly participate in the conferences. That's why we generated the ideas of this workshop about how we can make the remote participation more easy for everyone because to attending a conference is talking about the travel costs and also accommodation. This kind of cost is somehow very high for youth to directly participate in it. How we can engage new blood and also attracting new attendance to the conference no matter on their language or time zone barriers is very important to talking about this in this session. So thanks everyone for joining again. And I would like to talk about how we can structure the whole discussion because for this 1 hour of time we will be focused on the discussion. Firstly, I will start from some introduction for the whole program because we also want to giving some ideas of how this current situation is. So we have already done a very short survey in the last month to connect the forces from the community on how they think about the situation is. We will also talk about the survey in a sense to know about the current situation. Followed by we got a 30 minutes of time for breakout group to discuss. As you can see, I'll put it 2 different rates. On site is us. Thanks Renata for joining and also Bianca for joining as the facilitator of the breakout group discussion. Because for this workshop we talk about remote participation, so we really focus on how we can engage the remote participants in a sense. We also got remote participation facilitators with Ginger and Haley. Thanks for joining with us to be the facilitators on the remote chat room. After the breakout group discussion in the 30 minutes time, we got a 20 minutes of recap from the groups to share about how they feel we can make better for the situation and how we can contribute to giving some outputs paper passing to the IGF secretary to make the situation improve in the coming meetings. So I will just pass the time to my colleagues, Yanis, to check about the survey we have done in the past month to know about the situation. Thank you, Yanis.
Thanks, David. Thanks, David, for the... yeah, so this is Yanis for the record. So we have circulated a survey before about 32 days, which is about a month earlier before we have this conference, and so far we have received 28 responses, which I have to admit is not that representative indeed. But I guess for the survey, we would take it as to give us some ideas to kickstart the discussions and not trying to be very representative in that sense. So the survey is very short. We just have 10 questions, and so let me go to the result. Right now, just a minute. Okay. Let me share this link to the remote participant as well. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So let's go through the each questions briefly. So for the first question, so we ask which age group they belong to. So the majority actually comes from 80 to 30, and also 30 to 50. So which is basically covered most of the participants, I guess. And then the second questions is have you ever participated remotely for IG discussions? And most of the respondents is yes. So it's 23 versus 28. 23 versus 5 respondents that said no. And from then on, so we asked why they didn't participate. And for those actually say that they haven't participated before, is because they're not aware of the opportunities, and they might not be actually aware about the IG discussions, or they're not aware about the channels that they can join these discussions. And so for those who continued with third questions, we asked whether they have continued to participate and why. And so for those, most of them say yes, it's because they found it important, and they're from the academia, and some of them, so they want to share that with the students and also get them to engage. So for those who actually continue to participate is that they want to spread and get more people to join as well, and that's one of the reasons. And for the fourth question, so what are the key reasons for not attending remotely? So we gave several choices for them, and also to let them specify any other reasons. So actually what we found, and what is about the time zone problem, that which is, I guess, very critical for most of us. Like, for example, actually right now in Mexico, it would be totally upside down the time zone for the Asia region. So that's always the challenge to actually join these sections for them, because some of them might have a day job, which they will interfere with their job, the time that clashes, or otherwise if they have to join at night, some of them say that they also need like rest time, so they couldn't really have that much spare time to join these discussions. So, and the second main reasons is the internet connections is either both their own connections at home, or the host connection is unstable. So I think the technical challenge, and also both the time zone, is what we've always been known for, is the major reasons that why we couldn't get more participation remotely. And also the third major reason is the moderator has not enabled remote participants. And I guess that is some of the comments underneath that mentioned that actually remote participants are not valued as much as if they participate like on site and physically, and they feel they're more neglected by the moderators most of the time, some of the times. So that's part of the reason as well. Yeah. So. And then, and also some of them feel that they're not motivated to join the discussion. So motivation is another great challenge. Actually, also in some of the comments mentioned that is more about how we engage them and what motivated them to join. So actually we'll have more findings afterwards on that. And also another challenge that our four respondents filled out is they found difficulties in participating as a newcomer. So I guess capacity building is also one of the things that we have to deal with as well. And question 5, have you ever attended remote hub to join IG discussions? So majority, 60% actually say no, but there are 11 people say that they have joined before. But we didn't further ask about the experience. So for question 6, so we asked if there is any remote hubs within the region, and so it's also about half-half. And for question 7, will you be interested to host a remote hub? And I guess most of the respondents actually kind of saying that they're interested, which they think is a good way to gather the people. But there is actually a huge challenge as well, also due to the time zone, because it's hard to gather people physically to join if the time zone is, like, for example, at night, and especially also if during like a prime time in the morning, so people get to work, or if they're not in the field, then it would be difficult to gather them. But yeah, so that's also another challenge to host the remote hub. So, and also, of course, there is the technical challenge. So some of them might have like bandwidth issue as well that they cannot support to host the hub. And then for question 8, we asked what are the current tools that they use for remote participation. So, so mostly is Adobe Connect and WebEx right now, which are the major tools. That WebEx is what IGF we're using right now, and for Adobe Connect is more widely used in ICANN meetings, which is another internet conferences. And Zoom is also coming up. I think that many other discussions are using that, and a mailing list and social media are also the other major tools that they used. And then we asked about what they think about the current tools and how it. So what do they think about the current tools and whether they are optimal for IGF, and actually one of the very important point that important comment that we saw is it generally the tools are fine, it works well, but then if somebody with disability, then it might not be very well for them. And also language is another issue. So if they don't speak English, then it's actually hard for them to join because it's more English focused in most of the cases. And then so different people might be comfortable with different things. So we need to really figure that out. And also, but then there is also a positive comment saying that it's good that we have the recording, so it's important, and we can like refer to it like more quickly after meetings, and even if they couldn't join on site, then they can still like listen back to the recording. So that's one of the important findings that we see from this comment. Yeah, and so. The last questions we asked is about the suggestions, and I guess we will leave that after our discussions, yeah, to find out more.
Yep, thank you, Yanis. I do think the research gives us a quick background on how the situation is mainly about some language barriers and also the time zone limitation, and also talking about the interest in internet conferences as sometimes we occupy by our own work, or even if youth is occupied by their studies. So I think it is more when we talk about some barriers we are facing in this question. But the reason of having this research is mainly about how we can make suggestions. So for the following 30 minutes of time, we're trying to make some suggestion to the whole discussion, and I would like to also show the guiding question of the after all 30 minutes discussion. They will break out into, I guess we can break out into 3 groups to mainly talk about how we can make the situation better by giving real suggestion to the IGF secretaries on the issues. So I showed the PowerPoint of the guiding question to have a quick look. So we got 7 questions to be focused on, but it's just guiding question, but on the sense is the main purpose of this guiding question is how we can make suggestion. It's talk about the reasons of the remote participants to attend remotely, how we can attract the new remote participants to join with us, how to make person to feel more inclusive. If from your own perspective, because for this time we can join the conference in person, but how about for next year if we really can't join the IGF, how can the situation can be done in a sense to help you to participate in the coming meeting? On the 5th question is about how we can attract more people to join the remote hub, or is there an other mechanism on the sense? Because remote participation is not just talk about how we can participate on site during this conference, but it can be also focused on the pre-event or the post-event remote participation to connecting voice from the community. So this question is normally talk about on this. How we can help youth in particular to get started. So it's also the other question we want to focus on. How do we remove the barrier, as we have mentioned, for the remote participants to join? This is the 7th question we have been listing out, and I will just keep it on post to break out to the groups. So, right. Okay. I also pass the mic to Bianca to.
I love how we were like on site, but we wanted to talk about remote. That's really funny. But anyways, there's around like 30 people here today, and I mean those are great guiding questions. But I'll just put in 4 bigger categories that we can kind of break out and discuss. So I think the first one would be the organization. There are a lot of complaints about the time zone. So how should we enable these workshop or different sessions? Oh my gosh, this like camera is kind of like making me stop. Okay, so how should we enable these workshop organizers to be aware of the time zone issues and how we can rotate, right? So for example, for MAG, we have rotation for, one that's better for Asia time zone, one that's better for Latin America, one's out for Americas, so this is a key thing that I think should be built within with these workshop organizers or whoever that's organizing these intersessional meetings. The second part has to do with the motivation. We've heard a lot about the promotion part, there's social media involvement, the localization part, how can we do better with that? So I think that's a second category. The third would be capacity building for remote participants. So what I first mentioned is the organizers of the workshop. The third one is the remote participants, because it felt like they probably need some trainings to speak up, to communicate clearly what they wanted. The second is, how can we enable them to organize a remote hub? If so, then that could solve some of the issues that they might not have very stable internet in their homes, but probably in a remote hub that might be a little better. And thirdly, how do we enable newcomers who are remote participants, right? So I think that's the third category. And the fourth would be, how do we enable a moderator? For example, David tested everything before, he spoke to Haley, he spoke to Ginger prior to starting of the event. I'm not sure if every moderator does that. So how should we, create toolkits for moderators in order for them to be more aware of remote interventions, testing remote technical issues. So I think those are the 4 areas that we can kind of break out into. So again, it's organization for the organizer, the motivation part, the capacity, and during the event, how do we, enable moderators? So I think we can break out into 4 different, 3 groups. Okay, we can break into 3 groups and choose one topic that you're more passionate about. And I mean, we're super lucky to have the funding to be here today, but not everyone can. So I think just be mindful of, how lucky we are to break out here. And we also have online moderators that are available, like Ginger and Haley would be moderating the remote participants, which that's super important.
Hello, I'm Slobodan, a MAG member. and one of those who rooted for this session. It was almost excluded, but we luckily brought it back on track, because I think that remote participation or online participation, which I think is a better term, is a really important thing. And not only tweeting from the sessions, but actually including people with voice and image ideally. In that sense, I also think that maybe we should add, or maybe the issue that I want to mention is already included in one of the groupings that you made, Bianca, regarding how can we improve the workshop proposing templates and instructions in order to improve online participation at the conference. Because online participation and workshop organizers plan how they plan to implement it is a part of a workshop proposal. And it is a thing that we use to, among other things, grade proposals for IGF. So we should perhaps redraft the proposal template, or provide better guidelines for the workshop proposers. So maybe this could also be, how to do that, be a topic for discussion.
Yep, thank you. This is a very good suggestion of reviewing the workshop proposal template to ensure the remote participation to work smoothly. So right now we will be starting the breakout group discussion. I would like to say in this way. Yep, please.
I want to ask, is that possible to show the questionnaire result on a hyperlink that we can look at the result?
Yep, it was in the remote chat room, and I can also show it in the PowerPoint to let everyone to have a look on this. So right now we will break out into 3 different groups. I would like to invite Renata to be the first group. Maybe this badge is on the first group. Bianca, maybe just get on the back to be the second group. And I will be sitting here for the third group. And I think because of the time limit, maybe we shorten the period of time to be like 20 minutes for the discussion. Yep.
Just one comment. As we are on site and now we are going to do breakout groups to discuss, how do we choose the topics we're most passionate about? Do we fight to death or?
Yeah, it's just on the group to discuss. We can decide. Yep, and we also got feedback from Ginger. Maybe can we put Ginger on mic to speak a bit, as we have mentioned about in the research, the result, the voice, and also the chat room discussion. It's better to give voice to the remote participants to speak a bit. We got technical support to put Ginger on mic. Thank you.
Well, this is Yanis for the record. So I guess Ginger might be dropped just now. So, well, I guess I will just read out what is mentioned from the chat. So there is a reminder saying that, so we need to think that is to be physically present is not just about funding. There could be other reasons as well about time dedication might be. That's my add-on. I mean the time dedication. But it was mentioned that physically present is not just about funding. So we have to remember that when we think about this issue during the discussions. And then also Ginger mentioned as a MAC member, she pushed for the sections. And would like to point out that this is a section about online participation, and so as a remote participant, she viewed very excluded right now. So there are things we as organizers need to be aware of and change. So remote participation, evaluation of the workshop is actually a very strong component of the workshop evaluations by the MAC. So that's what she mentioned. And then, yeah, that's basically the comments. Okay, so I guess let's break out into groups right now. Maybe we repeat who is talking about which topic. Maybe each of you responsible for one topic, and then we can. So Renata will be the capacity building. If you're interested in capacity building, please follow her. And Bianca will be about organization. So like, the better guidelines, the workshop guidelines, and yeah. And then David will be on motivation and time zone, I guess. Yeah, so Renata might be to that corner, and David could stay this corner, and then Bianca can occupy middle space.
Basically, we can discuss based on this guideline here. Could there be a participant session for moderator before the workshop proposal is asked for? Do a session for one as a moderator. For the workshop. There a session of the there should be training section. Before the organizer heading. Do you think this before the heading proposals of IGF to the host? So oh, Ginger, you're right. We're only on budget. Not that even within the capacity of this. Training. Ah.
So sorry for disturbing, but just want to remind everyone that we, looking at the time, we would have about 4 minutes left for discussions.
Hello, does everybody hears me? Are you listening to me?
Yeah, is this Ginger speaking?
Indeed, we are about the time to getting back to the large group for the for the report. So could everyone just join back to the round table for a short recap, and we'll round up the session.
Phones enabled because we have it enabled like for all the session, but we couldn't hear any one of you talking.
Oh, sorry. Just look at Kimberga. So we were just in a breakout group discussions right now, but I guess because of the time, we only have 1 hour for this section. So I guess we have to resume to the last discussions, and we have to report each group's findings right now, right, David?
Yep. For the remote participants, maybe we can. After report, we do want to have remote voice on giving some feedbacks, especially from the discussion in the chat room. So we would like to firstly invite the group moderator, Bianca, Renata, and me to report on what we have discussed on the 3 areas about the organization, motivation, and also the capacity building. And then we will go to remote facilitators, Ginger and Haley, to speak a bit on and recap a bit on the discussion in the chat room and sharing some views. For each facilitator, we will get like 2 minutes of time to during recap. We hope to keep the time not running out too much. So maybe can we start from Bianca about the organization of the discussion?
Hi. So we were in a breakout group earlier, and I was specifically on the organization part. And I mean, this is the first, remote participation workshop that we've had. So I think there's a lot that we need to improve on. But anyways, on the organization part, so Edmund was, I had a group of, really interesting and engaging participants, and of which Edmund did mention that ICANN probably has better and easier access to remote participation tools. But the other thing is, how should we integrate the chat? Because I felt like a lot of the remote participants are in the chat versus, us who are here are, present. Outside the chat. So he mentioned a few things. Like one thing is, making it easier to find the remote participation tools. And, the tool is good enough, easy to use that people, even in the room, are part of it. So even people can kind of read the chat on screen. So that's another thing. Other than only broadcasting, what's happening here, we should also broadcast the chat. So people who are in the room are also aware of what the chat room is happening. Chat is also a more casual format, and one of the Hong Kong Youth by IGF participants also mentioned that because it's more informal, they feel more interested instead of a block of text. And the other part of it, Slotoban, is also mentioned that there are a few things in the room that should happen. The moderator should also be on the chat room. Session chair should also monitor the chat room. And there should also be reporting on the actual remote participation chat that's in the report. So so in that way, we can make the chat room also a good ground for speaking and include that in part of our discussion. So I think that's kind of where we are on the organization, and there are a few things that we can kind of implement right away. A few things that we probably need some more coordination, but that's where we're going to start.
Thank you, Bianca. And on the motivation part, we do get some suggestion on how we can raising awareness from the community on the sense. The first suggestion is about we can have more education in the uni and engaging the young people on the sense on the discussion. For example, we got students from we got some suggestion like having when we talk about law and cybercrimes sessions, we can have some discussion and introducing the IGF issues and also the related issues on a sense in the curriculum. So there's the first way. And on the other way, it's about we can also giving some certificate for online participation for the participants to encourage them to participate in this discussion as a reward. And more importantly, I do think for the third point we have made some suggestion is about making the participants to feel they are part of it and including the result, the discussion result from the remote participants to the discussion and also generating the discussion outcome papers, including the forces from the participants remotely. So there is the third point we have made. And also for the third point we have made is about the remote hub. It can be set beforehand, the meetings or after meetings for follow-ups that they helps the situation to improve. So there is the 4 areas and 4 suggestions we have made to make people to being motivated. Yep. So right now we also want to invite Renata to talk about the capacity building part. Thank you.
Thank you. Indeed, the capacity building group shared many insights on how do we build a path to successful remote participation. And we brought insights from before, during, and after a remote participation experience. So before, preparing remote participation. How does one register to a remote participation session? Is the registration accessible? We had a great input from our colleague from the Dynamic Coalition of Accessibility and Disability, which has built a document available to gather knowledge on how to do an accessible registration and remote participation experience. An analogy, quite interesting, if there is a building and you can't get in, how are you going to participate? So that would be the before the remote participation experience. And during the remote participation experience, also we talked a lot about standards and protocols, like for instance, non-verbal protocols or cues that we have in nonverbal communication, which do not translate to remote participation easily, like building consensus through looking at each other's eyes instead of actually asking the question or gathering a record that this is consensus. So remembering to translate these nonverbal cues is very important as well, and this should be something agreed upon on remote participation experiences. Also, translating standards and protocols. There's a universe of tools for remote participation, and tools also are increasingly freely available through their code or through demo versions. So experimenting with these tools and building upon them is pretty interesting. Leandro made here quite an interesting list of a colleague from the group of some interesting aspects of it.
Leandro, for the record, well, we talk about accessibility, exchange of knowledge, but we also talk that if we're talking about online participation, we should also be thinking about these powerful new tools, repository codes, sharing knowledge through APIs, make things as starting from taking an API to translate the whole transcriptions in every language to user interface that it's really good that a colleague was talking. So we think, the group think that we should also add new tools that are available in code and it can we can make it happen. Thanks.
Yes, so continuing on our remote participation journey, building blocks. The environment mentioned was the inter-community ISOC event, which had several blocks of translation support, chat on the online environment that the participant could use. And those building blocks would then generate the last part of our journey, which is after the remote participation experience, the importance of record keeping. So live scribing for multicultural, multilingual support is also very important. And telling participants how to use those transcripts, how to disseminate them, and how to easily search through them in order to get their information. There is a difference in connectivities in regions, and you may have some participants which are highly connected in a broadband environment and participants using mobile. So all those participants should have access to the same information being kept on a record through live scribing capabilities and through languages support. A suggestion was made to the MAG to reinforce the importance of UN languages support. Whenever possible, have varied languages material translated at least in the UN languages set. And I guess I would sum up our experience on the capacity building breakout group as learning about standards and protocols to remote participate. To make remote participation more effective, we need to exchange information before, during, and after the remote participation experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Renata. We do get a very good feedback on how we can doing the capacity building issues. As I've also mentioned about, we have remote facilitators on recapping the chat room discussion. I'd like to invite Haley to recap a bit on what we have done in the chat room. It's happy to see in the chat room we got clean discussion on how we can do better on the remote participation. But I do think for remote issue is a quite new issue for us. It still got room to be improved. But I first want to invite Haley to recap a bit, and followed by Ginger. Maybe could the host help giving Haley be the representative? Yeah, her to be presenter. Haley, yeah, Haley Young.
Testing.
Yep, we can hear you, Haley.
Good morning, everyone. I'm sorry that just now I thought the mic that was mute, but I was reading the chat, and it's scrolling down. I cannot copy and paste for the chat. And basically, we had a very good discussion in the chat room just now. And based on these three categories: organization, motivation, and capacity. And for the organization part, mainly there are 4 points. First of all, it's about the accessibility. Not everyone has the accessible tools to get online. And the second point is that someone suggests that we have to let the remote participants to the audio out so that their opinion can be voiced out in the meeting. And the third point is about the breakout session. It is really hard for the remote participants to get engaged in the breakout session. And just like now, they're separate from the on-site participants. And it is suggested to have the Skype maybe to let them to get more involved. And also, the registration for the online WebEx is questioned because it takes a long time to get registered for this remote participation. So for the second part, which is the motivations, there are mainly 4 points as well. The first point is it is good to make a session. It will be good to make a session for remote participants to call in and make submission during the whole discussion, so that they can be more like get involved. And the remote participant has also found out that they are usually feel out to be isolated, but not present in the discussion. So it is something that we have to be aware of. And the second point is about it is good to read out the chat comments right after, like in the meeting, so that throughout the workshop, so that they can be like more engaged. And finally, it is suggested to have someone who is really dedicated to the remote participant to let them get involved in the whole discussion. And for the final point about the capacity building, the first one is it is suggested to design a new format for the participants so that they can be more involved, not more advanced to the chat room now. And the second point is it is good to utilize like the new resources now, but not waiting the organization to organize more hubs or more remote participation chances. And the third point is about it is good to create and build more advanced tools to let more online participants to get involved in. And the fourth point is about it's good to have a training for the organizer and also the remote moderators, and not just the online participants. And the final point is it is advised to have more on-site training and human resources available, so that the remote participation can be bring into a dynamic reality. So like basically this sum up like the whole remote discussion we had just now, and I think Ginger will can like add in some more points. Thank you.
Thanks, Haley, for the recap. And we are trying to more engaging the remote participants to the discussion. This is one of the ways to doing some recap from remote facilitators. And as we also got Ginger as the remote facilitators, do Ginger want to add on to getting some feedbacks on the whole discussion? For the host, could you put Ginger as the presenter? Thank you. Ginger Pell. Yep. Ginger, are you speaking right now?
This is Yana speaking for the record. So, Ginger, we don't seem to hear you if you were speaking just now. And it seems that you're speaking right now and we are not hearing you as well still. I saw the mic button is flaking, but then we don't hear your audio. I'm not sure if that's a technical issue that the staff is working on. But I guess while we're working on the audio, I just want to add on to what Haley said. So in the track and actually on the remote discussion, it was very active just now. And actually, there is also one thing mentioned which is similar to other group, is about the design of the workshop. In breakout discussions, it's so hard to actually engage the online participants into different groups. But we do have a very active discussions on the remote group ourselves, but the remote participants feel like that they're excluded in that sense as well, and they want to be included in each group. So that are some of the technical issues that the tools have to enable that. So that's also one thing that I want to add on.
Yep. Thank you, Yanis. As we got the last session followed by this session, so we'll just close the panel right now for doing some wrap up for the whole session. Thanks everyone for joining on-site and remotely for the discussion. For this session, we do feel there's difficulties on how we can engage both discussion, like the breakout group sessions, or even like engaging people to voice out in the remote panels and also in the remote hubs and also the chat room to participate in the whole session. So I'd like to give a last word to Renata.
I just wanted to congratulate everyone because I guess championing this workshop and making it happen is already a huge effort towards inclusion and remote participation in sessions in the IGF. Very, very needed. So congratulations all and all the participants as well. Yep.
A comment from Ginger is we can try organizing a panel discussion that everyone can be engaged in the discussion is a very good idea. So we're also applying this workshop in the next year to doing a remote discussion on a better way to discuss in the whole sense. Thank you, Ginger, and thank you everyone for joining with us. Should I give a round of applause to everyone to close the session? Thank you.